Hey, how's it going? My name is Evan Schneider. I'm a colorist and cinematographer, and I'm also the creator of LUT. Shooting in a flat color profile or log is definitely the best way to have the most flexibility in post-production when you're color grading. However, a lot of times it can be tricky to get the image to look natural and to convert it back to a standard Rec. 709 color space. Now, there are a handful of ways to convert your F-Log footage to Rec. 709, including LUTs or a color space transform, or even just adding contrast and saturation. These lead to varying results, and a lot of times it's hard to know what is doing the best or what might be actually hurting the footage more than it's actually helping. Being a Fuji shooter myself, I'm extremely familiar with the look of the F-Log image and also the other film simulations inside the camera. So that's what inspired me to create these LUTs. I wanted to create a LUT that checks all the boxes in terms of technical conversion from Fuji F-Log Rec. 2020 to a standard Rec. 709 color space, but also combine it with kind of an artistic and tasteful touch to create natural colors and combine the technical conversion with something that looks good right off the bat. So included in this pack, along with the base F-Log conversion LUT, is a +1, +2, and -1 and -2 contrast adjustments, as well as a warm version and a cool version. So with these, you can kind of compensate for footage that may be lacking a little bit of contrast or color temperature to make it useful in different scenarios where you may not have time to do a creative color grade, but you want to have something that you can deliver straight to the client. So whether you're working in Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut Pro X, I would recommend having your conversion LUT be after any sort of basic corrections, but also before any sort of creative LUTs that you might apply afterwards, or any creative looks that you can create yourself. So all of this footage was shot in F-Log, and with this first shot, I'm just going to go into the input LUT, and I'm going to select the F-Log to Natural Rec. 709, V1, which is the base LUT. And right off the bat, we've converted the footage from F-Log to Rec. 709. Colors are very natural. There's no color cast. And you can see from the scopes that we're starting with a very good point where we still have detail in the shadows and highlights, and we have room to build our own grade on top of this. And if I wanted to adjust the image further from here, I could always bring down the shadows and push the highlights a little more, maybe push a little more saturation into the image and warm it up. And so you can see here's the before and here's the after. So the LUT has really helped us convert the footage into a natural profile, and we've built a creative color grade on top of that. So here's another really great example of a shot with skin tones in it, where we want to make sure that those are looking natural. So I'm going to apply the base conversion LUT, and I really just love how natural and clear this image looks. And again, I can add more contrast if I want to, or alternatively, I can even use the +1 or +2 contrast variants if I want it to have a little bit more pop. So here's before and here's after. Even if you wanted to deliver this straight to your client, if they just wanted a natural look, this is your color grade. Once you get used to shooting with these LUTs, you can predict how they're gonna look. You can really speed up your workflow by just throwing this LUT on top. Here's another example of a situation where I might want to use the warm variation. And so on this shot, this is the base natural Rec. 709 LUT. And then say I wanted it to be a little bit warmer, I can choose the warm version, and it just adds a nice overall warmth to the footage and brings out some of those nice warm tones in the sky here. I can also alternatively use the cold version if I want it to have a cooler tone. And I can also apply the +1 contrast if I want it to be even more rich. And here's the +2. And then I also have, here's back at the base, I have the -1 contrast and the -2 contrast. So you can see that that gives us a little more range in our grade to add the type of contrast or custom tone curve if we wanted to, but you can still see this is before and this is after. So you're still converting the F-Log to a more workable color space, but it just really depends on how much room you want for the rest of your color grade. This is another beautiful example of the LUT, and I'm just going to apply the natural Rec. 709 LUT on top of it. From here, I could even increase the color temperature to warm it up, increase the saturation, and then I might decrease the shadows, increase the highlights a little bit, and add a tiny bit of contrast. Now we have a really nice creative look on top of the natural Rec. 709 LUT, and here's before and here's after. Here's another example of the great dynamic range that these LUTs retain. You can see that this image has all the detail in the highlights and shadows, and when we apply the base LUT, it retains all of that detail. So from here, we can just balance the shot by maybe increasing the color temperature a bit, increasing the saturation, and adding a tiny bit more contrast to the image. We have this is before and this is after. Here's one more example of how the cold variant can work. So this is our base LUT, and I'd really love to bring out some of these blue tones in the image. So I'm gonna go down to the cold version, and it just pushes everything a little bit cooler. I can see here that my highlights are being pushed a little bit too far. So I'm gonna bring down the highlights and the white point for that to sit in a good spot. And I think I want a little more contrast, so I'm gonna bring the shadows down as well. And I can even further intensify this cold look by bringing the color temperature down. So this is before and this is after. So it's a huge difference, and we've really done that in just a few steps. Fuji cameras are known for their incredible colors, and I hope you can see how these LUTs can help you really take advantage of those colors and create some really nice looking grades. I hope you can see how these LUTs can really speed up your workflow, give you a lot more confidence when you're shooting an F-Log, knowing that you're going to be able to convert it to a natural looking profile when you edit. So I hope to see what you guys do with them, and thanks for watching.